Hi folks, HR Funk here with a real treat for you today. What I have is a firearm manufactured by the Shiloh Rifle Manufacturing Company of Big Timber, Montana, and specifically, according to the barrel legend, if I can get it where you can see it, this is a Shiloh Sharps Model 1874 carbine, and it's a replica of the Sharps carbine used during the American Civil War, and this is a real beauty. Now this is not my firearm, it was loaned to me, but I wanted to do a quick review since I have it, and this is just a tremendous firearm in every respect. Now, from perusing the current Shiloh website, it does not appear that this specific model is being offered currently, but it does still represent very well the type of quality that you get with these firearms. Now this is a modern reproduction, obviously, but when you look at everything from the bluing of the barrel to the wood, look at the wood, which is just absolutely gorgeous. The color case hardening on the action and the lever and the butt plate is very nice, and all around this is just a very well executed firearm in every respect. Now we're going to take a close look at this here in the shop, and then I'm going to run out to the range and we'll see how it shoots. Dimensionally, this carbine has a barrel that measures 24 inches from the breech to the muzzle, and although it is a carbine version of the Sharps rifle, by today's standard it's no lightweight. It tips the official Cabela's scale at about 8.5 pounds. Even so, that is considerably lighter than the rifle length version of this firearm. It features sights that have a ladder rear sight, and you can see that when the ladder is up, again I'll try to get this where you can see it, the sights are graduated all the way out to 800 yards, which seems pretty optimistic for me given the fact that this rifle is chambered for the 45-70 cartridge. The front sight is a simple brass blade. Now one thing I have noticed with these sights, and along with the ladder sight, there is also a rear battle sight, but the grooves in all three rear sight positions are very shallow. And when I look, whether I'm using the battle sight here or if I'm using the ladder sight, in order to get that sight blade, the front sight blade, into the rear sight notch, the notch itself is very shallow and it makes that front sight difficult to see. Again, I have the same issue if I'm using the battle sights as I'm doing here. Now interestingly, the 800-yard notch is at the very top of the ladder, but in order to sight for 800 yards, there is my sight picture, and you can see this is really more of a chin weld than it is a cheek weld, and that would be the hold to fire this at 800 yards, presumably. Now when I get out to the range, I'm not going to be shooting it anywhere near that distance. I'm going to be shooting much, much closer. And part of the reason for that is because I have never fired a firearm of this design before in my life. So I'm just going to be getting acquainted with it and trying to get an idea of how it shoots. This is a falling block design, which means when the lever is rotated downward, and I'll try to get this so you can see it, the breech block moves down out of position, exposing the chamber so it can be loaded and unloaded. And when the lever is rotated up, the block rises back into position and now it can be safely fired. Moving the lever does not cock the action. That still has to be done physically by thumb cocking the action. And the trigger is a single set trigger, so no double set target triggers on this particular firearm. Now since this is not mine, I'm not going to measure the trigger with the trigger pull gauge because truthfully, I'm not sure if dry firing this would harm it or not. So I'm going to err on the side of caution and not dry fire it. But an educated guess from my trigger finger would be that this trigger breaks probably at about 4.5 pounds. So it's a nice trigger. It's not a target trigger, and really there's nothing about this that's set up for target use. This is set up like a military carbine, but even so, it would still perform respectively as a hunting arm. And given the fact that it's chambered for the 45-70, it could do very well here in Ohio for medium range or close range deer hunting. Folks, there's just not much more I can tell you about the Shiloh Sharps Carbine other than I can't wait to get it out to the range and try it out. So let's go see how it does. And I've arrived out on the range with the Shiloh Sharps Carbine. In just a few minutes, I'm going to start to shoot it and see how it performs. But as I mentioned back in the shop, I have never shot a rifle like this before. So what I'm going to do to begin with is start out at the relatively close distance of 25 yards, shooting at a paper target, just to see where the carbine's going to hit. Or maybe I should say I want to see where it's going to hit with me shooting it. After I see how the sights are set, then I'll see if I can find something a little bit more interesting to shoot. I've got several different 45-70 loads to use with me out here today, and I'm going to kick things off with Hornady's 325 grain lever revolution, so let's see how it does. And it looks like the first shot hit a little bit low. So I'll try another one. That was a little better shot. And I felt like I pulled that one just a little ways to the left. Let's try one more. Okay, let's go take a look at the target. And that very first shot was a little bit low, just like I thought. This was my best shot of the bunch. This was shot number 2, and it pretty much went right to point of aim. I know that I pulled shot number 3 a little bit to the left. I saw the sight move. Otherwise, elevation isn't looking too bad, just a little bit low. And shot number 4, I think I rushed my trigger press just a little bit and pulled this one a little bit low and to the right. But all in all, not bad. Folks, just to satisfy a curiosity, I want to try a different load. This is Remington's 405 grain jacketed soft point, and I just want to try this out and see if it goes to the same point of impact as the Hornady's or if it's going to print to a different part of the target. Felt like I pulled that one just slightly to the right, not too bad a shot. That one was just slightly to the left, but another pretty good shot. and another one just slightly to the left. Let's see where they printed. And those shots were pretty much right on call. This was my first one that I knew I pulled to the right. This one I actually expected to be on this side of the center bullseye. I thought it was going to be a little bit to the left, but I'll take that. And the last one I knew I pulled a little bit to the left, and it's right where I expected it to be. So it looks like the sights are regulated a little bit better for the heavier 405 grain Remington than for the 325 grain Hornady. In any case, from 25 yards, there's not a great deal of difference between either one of those two loads, and I don't see any problem here, so I'm going to go on and try something else. All right, folks, time to have some fun. What if we were out on the wide open spaces of the old western frontier and we had to defend ourselves from an outlaw at a distance of 40 yards? I'm set up now at 40 yards and I've got an outlaw target on the target stand down there, so let's see if I can adequately defend myself with the Shiloh Sharps carbine. And I'm not sure what happened, but somehow my target camera got switched to the slow motion setting before I fired those shots. Even so, I think our outlaw is having a pretty bad day. That's 3 rounds of that 405 grain Remington ammunition from 40 yards, more or less center chest, and I think he'd be done right there. And the challenges just keep getting bigger. I just now spotted 2 water bottle desperados sneaking over the range berm. I'm going to see if I can stop them in their tracks with 2 rounds of 350 grain loads from buffalo bore. Looks like I got them both with 1 shot. Looks like Desperado number 2 was a slow learner, so we'll see if we can speed up his education. I think he got the message that time. Okay folks, I gotta know, is the Shiloh Sharps carbine a tack driver? Well, I'm set up at 20 feet. I've got 3 rounds of the Remington 405 grain ammunition in my pocket. What say we find out? Not on the first shot, but I think I scared it pretty well. Yes, the Shiloh Sharps carbine in 4570 is a tack driver. Folks, the Shiloh Sharps carbine in 4570 is a great reproduction of a historic firearm. It's a lot of fun to shoot, and it's certainly accurate enough for anything you can reasonably ask of the 4570 cartridge. In fact, I think I'm going to stay out here at the range and do a little bit more shooting with it. But as far as the video is concerned, let's head back to the shop and I'll have some final thoughts. And there you have it, folks. That's my review of the Shiloh Sharps 1874 Cavalry Carbine. Now, one thing I did not mention earlier in the review is the price of these firearms, but if you go to the Shiloh Sharps website, you'll find out very quickly that these are not inexpensive. Even so, the craftsmanship is top-notch, and the final product is extremely impressive. Now, I would tell you, if you find one of these in a used gun rack, you might want to take a close look at it. but I just don't think you're going to find these in a used gun rack. I think the people that own these know what they have, and these are going to be passed down from generation to generation, and I just don't think you're going to find a lot of them used. In any regard, that's my video for today. If you have any questions or comments, as always, make sure you forward those to me. Remember, if you order anything from Optics Planet, be sure to use my discount code, which is... And if you use that discount code, it's good for 5% off anything you order from Optics Planet. See you next time, folks, and until then, good shooting. Bye-bye.